Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at MSI's spectacularly fast M.2 drive. This is the Spatium M480 Play 2TB. Keep watching to find out more. So potentially this little drive here from MSI, this is the Spatium M480 2TB. This is the Play Edition. This could be the answer to your prayers for a really responsive PC, whether you're gaming, general purpose, doing a workflow such as video editing, that sort of thing, or even just photo editing, those sorts of things. General tasks will be greatly improved with this PCIe Express Gen4x4 drive. Now we're going to go through today, go through some of the specs, talk about the drive itself, pros, cons, etc. Spoiler alert, they're mostly pros, except possibly the cost. These drives aren't the cheapest on the market, but in terms of the competition, actually very favourably priced, but we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. Take a look at the specs, like I said, and then at the end of the video you can work out whether or not this is going to be suitable for your next computer build, or potentially even for your PlayStation 5. So first let's take a look at the packaging. So as you can see, this is the MSI Spatium, the M480 Play, PCI Express Gen4 NVMe drive. But if you've got a slightly older motherboard and you're supporting PCI Express Gen 3, still going to work on there. Obviously you're not going to get those stellar speeds, but certainly it's still going to be a rather nippy drive anyway. This also has the ability to be able to be purchased in 500 gig, 1TB, 2TB, and it seems there may be a 4TB drive on the horizon also, which is absolutely fantastic. On the box there, you can see this particular one has a rated read speed of anywhere up to 7,000 megabytes per second. Yes, 7,000 megabytes per second, which is absolutely insane. Now, I will say that the specs on MSI's site, which obviously that's their own testing, etc., their own marketing, they do rate this as being a 7,000/5,500 megabytes per second rated drive. Although we will see in the testing a little bit later that the specifications are somewhat conservative, let's say. Now the testing we've done today is actually on a B550 motherboard, so not an X570 where you'd normally get slightly better performance. We've used actually a relatively old processor as well, a Ryzen 5 3600. It still does support PCI Express Gen 4 transfers, but again, I wanted to show that in the testing you don't have to have an absolutely legendary ninja system to get the best out of this drive. So you're possibly asking, what is the difference with the Play version? So you've possibly seen the Spatium M480, which was the original version. This is essentially a new and enhanced version. So there's a couple of things which have changed. They've actually changed the NAND flash. So previously we were using 96 layer Micron. Now we're using 176 layer 3D NAND flash. To put that into layman's terms, effectively what it means is the newer drives now actually have much better random read-write speeds, which was something of a letdown on the M480, the original version. Don't get me wrong, that drive was still plenty fast enough, but with the introduction of the Micron 176 layer NAND flash, this has a massive impact and has almost doubled the figures. Another aspect of the Play is the fact that this is designed for PlayStation 5, so if you're one of those people that uses consoles, ugh, how dare you. But if you do want to use a PlayStation 5, then you can put this in. It is completely compatible and suitable. All of the thermals, etc. are well within specs of what the PlayStation 5 requires. And also, the actual heatsink itself has been slightly modified to allow it to fit in the PS5 properly, whereas the previous M480, the heatsink was a little bit on the tall side, so physically wouldn't fit. So that's pretty much it for the front of the box. On the back, we've got a bunch of other information from MSI, which is not particularly interesting, but I'll show you on the screen anyway, so you can see what that's all about. But really what we're interested in today is the drive itself. So this is the drive, as you can see. This is the 2TB model. It's actually really cute, I love it. MSI aren't always known for being discreet, let's face it. Normally they tend to go for quite crazy and outlandish designs, whereas this I think is actually quite moderate in their particular way. So we've got a kind of like a titanium grey on black, and also you've got the MSI logo on there, which looks very premium. The heatsink itself actually is on both sides of the drive, so it does cover both sides. This is something which I kind of foresaw from a review I did of a M.2 heatsink cooler a little while back, where I was complaining because the drive physically wouldn't fit because it had a heatsink or heatsink pads on both sides. And people are saying, well, drives don't have memory on both sides. Well, this one has to, because it's 2TB. So this drive's got 5 chips on each side of the drive, 4 of which are memory, one is cache. So there is actually a 2 gigabytes of cache on here. So if you've got the 1 terabyte drive, you get 1 gig of cache. If you get the 2 terabyte version, you get 2 gigs of cache. So basically they're just doubling up things there, which is all taken care of with Psion's new E18 controller, which if you know much about drives, you'll know that Psion controllers are probably one of the market leaders, if not the market leader. And the E18 is currently, at the time of recording, the cream of the crop, at least for kind of consumer level drives. So the E18 increases speeds across the board. So if you've looked at other M.2 drives, PCI Express Gen4x4, maybe a couple of years ago or even a year ago, you'll notice that the drives, even though they're similar specs, they won't reach those high heady speeds because of the older controller. So this is updated, and also MSI have updated the firmware of this drive as well to give it that little extra boost as well, which means it's going to be super fast. And also with MSI, you can actually update things or keep an eye on the drive itself actually within MSI Center. MSI Center for me is getting better and better every single time. There's so much control in there, flexibility. So if you are somewhat of an MSI fanboy like myself, then you can find that pretty much all of your components that are MSI related can be found in MSI Center and controlled and monitored. So other aspects of this drive which we should discuss. So we have got trim support, we've also got smart, we've also got LDPC, ECC or error correction, and also APST, which is automatic power transition. I'm not sure what the S is for, but yeah, it's basically for automatically transition through different power modes, so it does that more efficiently, etc, etc. Yeah, very boring stuff. But what isn't boring is the performance of this. So let's take a look at some of the performance figures. So first of all, on the screen now, you're going to be seeing the performance figures of my existing drive in my system. So this is, again, MSI B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, and this was originally tested with the PCI Express Gen3x4 drive, no slouch, but certainly we can beat that. So now you're going to see the results from the MSI Spatium M480 Play, and as you can see, the results are pretty outstanding. There's some really, really good numbers there. And I did run it again just to make sure that it was right and take an average between the two. And yes, you can't fault it. It has a super, super fast drive. Now actually, for comparison's sake as well, I went over to my other PC, which is running on X570, with a PCI Express Gen4x4 drive, one which is a little bit older, but on paper, similar characteristics, and run the same tests on there. And you can see definitely there is a fall off in performance. And there isn't really a great deal of difference between the drives. This one is double the size, which does help for M.2 drives and SSDs in general, but it comes down to that controller. MSI have done a fantastic job using the Psion E18 controller in combination with their custom firmware, some really, really good improved Micron 176 layer 3D NAND flash, and the end result is a drive which is super, super quick. Now that's all the good points out of the way. Let's take a look at some of the negatives. Now the negative of this, the original launch price of this in the Americas was $329. Now as with all things, prices do fall, and at the moment this has dropped off almost $100 from that original price. And even here in the UK, you can pick this up at just a shade over £200. So if you want a fantastic drive with a realistic street price and also backed up with a 5-year warranty, with a 1,400 terabytes written warranty, whichever comes first, then I think the MSI Spatium M480 2TB Play Edition is definitely worth a look. But what I think isn't important, what you think is, so sound off in the comments section below. Have you used a PCI Express Gen4x4 drive? Do you actually need the speeds? Let me know in the comments section before. I know with some people, previously, if you've got larger drives, like 1TB M.2 drives or even SATA drives, generally there was a trade-off that you'd have maybe slower QLC RAM rather than your TLC, especially 3D NAND TLC. So yeah, this can be your one-stop drop. So if you just want to have one drive in your system, nice big 2TB drive, stick it in there and just forget about it, you certainly can do. Whereas previously, you'd probably go for a faster, smaller drive for your boot drive and a secondary drive for your video editing and games, etc. Whereas now, you don't have to. Stick one of these in and you'll be super pleased. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for now. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.